Hello, I'm Nigel James. Do you remember these? A very familiar sight on the roads back in the 60s. So much so that they're still going strong right up to the 21st century. So today we're going to look at classic motorhomes and trailers. Now, the history of campervans goes back many, many years, and in fact, when free love was the vibe and the Beatles were hip, the VW Campervan back in the 60s and the 70s was the only vehicle to be seen in. Now, a company based at Farnsfield near Newark in Nottinghamshire hires out such vehicles. Malcolm Hazard is the owner of the company. Malcolm, it's quite an unusual business, isn't it, to be hiring out such vehicles as these?
That's right, yeah.
So why do you do it?
It all started back sat in my tent at a VW rally, watching all these people sat in the camper vans, and I'm thinking I could really do with one of them. And then the idea just rolled on from there. It was like people who can't afford to keep them, can't afford to store them, can't afford to use them as a second car. We really want to use one for a weekend out, and it just went on from there.
And the name of the company that you actually operate under, that's quite unusual as well, isn't it, in its own right?
Yeah, we use that. It's a unique name to sell the business. It's easy to remember, really.
And the name is?
100% Slow.
And how do you actually advertise the business, Malcolm?
Through the internet mainly, but we also use specialist VW magazines, but the internet is the main one we have to do.
Now, I said a few moments ago that you're the proprietor of 100% Slow. You're also the owner of these four magnificent vehicles. Let's talk about this one first. This one's a 1971 Dormobile, I believe.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. Let's find out some more about it, shall we?
Well, it originally started life as a minibus, hence the twin sliding doors.
Yeah.
When I bought it off my cousin.
Let's take a look round the side here at the doors. Yeah. So you bought it from your
I bought
cousin?
it from my cousin with a damaged engine. We basically repaired the engine, redid the interior to make it usable for customers, basically.
Now, the interior itself, was there a lot of work involved in the conversion of it?
Not really, because the minibuses are only bolted down seats, so seats out, new interior, and it was a very straightforward job.
And how many people would this sleep?
This actual one is a two-berth.
And the name on the bed, that's quite an unusual name as well, isn't it? Is it called a rock and roll bed?
Rock and roll bed, yeah.
Yeah, can we actually see that? See the actual action
certainly.
as to why it's called rock and roll?
It's one of the easiest and quickest ways of making a bed. Just basically pull it down, your cushions in, and there's your bed made, just like that.
And that obviously sleeps too quite comfortably.
Right, yeah, it's very comfortable.
Uh-huh.
Never had a complaint about an uncomfortable bed.
Now, what about the other facilities inside? We've got a little cooker here, I see.
That's right, yeah, you've fully kitted out with your cooker, sink, you've got your storage, water bottle, your cutlery, your pots and pans. It's basically all the basics you need for camping.
And this cupboard down below, what's actually stored in there?
Well, it's actually used for your food and your beer by the looks of that.
Oh, we've got some samples as well.
They don't normally come with food in, but customers tend to leave me a few every time. Not often beer, but it's always a bonus.
Yeah. We've also got, just up above us there, I see we've got, is it an air vent, or is that for sort of air conditioning, as it were?
General skylight. When it gets a bit warm in here, you get a bit of circulation through.
Yeah.
Mainly for your cooker, really, at the end of the day.
Anything in particular with regards to the front compartment there? I notice it's got the bench seat.
That's right. It's not the usual camper setup, which would have a walk-through. It's got the bench seat, which you can use. You store the. Sorry, I'll start again. The spare wheel is stored underneath there. It just gives you extra travelling space, really, at the end of the day.
I notice as well that there's a fairly modern piece of audio equipment in there. That obviously wouldn't have been around in the 60s. Is that a recent development from your
tried to get the 8-tracks in, but nobody has them these days. I've gone for the CD player. It's as modern as they go, really. CD player, cigarette lighter for the mobile phones. That's as modern as we go.
Yeah. Let's take a look now, Malcolm, at the engine compartment at the back. Obviously, when this particular model was built, it would this have been the original engine?
Yes, on this model they come standard with the 1600 engine in it, but being as the unleaded's the key fuel these days, they've had to be upgraded to take the unleaded.
Yeah. Is there much maintenance involved?
The very low maintenance is just constant maintenance, really. Just keeping tabs on it, making sure everything's up to scratch, really. Yeah. If anything looks faulty, the new parts are put on straight away. You don't take a chance on anything.
Now, we said earlier that this was obviously built way back in 1971.
Yeah.
Things like parts, I mean, if something should go wrong, if something fell off or something went wrong with the engine, things like that, how difficult is it to acquire parts?
They're very easy to acquire. I mean, I've got a regular supplier throughout the country, through the VW magazines and even the internet. You can get them anywhere now. There's a lot of reproduction parts going on.
So it's quite easy to keep it maintained then?
That's right, yeah. Yeah, it's very easy, basically. It's just constant.
One final thing on this model, Malcolm, what's that compartment there at the back?
That's just a storage locker.
Oh,
just extra storage space.
For what, personal effects?
Yeah,
and that kind of thing. Yeah. Well, it's back in time now to 1967. Malcolm, this one is a split screen.
That's right, yeah.
And it's obviously got the detachable roof, which we'll have a look at in a sec. There was a lot of work involved in this one, wasn't there, as far as restoration was concerned?
It certainly was. It was basically a 6-month restoration project, and there's a lot of work involved.
Now, tell us more about the involvement in the restoration. What exactly did you have to do?
Well, a lot of the lower panels, new wings all round, the floor had to be repaired. There's a lot of work involved, obviously a full respray. Altered the roof. It used to have a high top on it. I've changed it for the pop top, which is much more camper-like, to be fair. Total refit on the inside, total new interior, rebuilt from scratch.
I notice that the coachwork is looking in pristine condition. It's in a sort of very pale blue, and on the lower half, and white on the top. Would this have been the original colour scheme?
No, the original colour was like a dark, sort of mushy pea green, I suppose you could call it. It was an awful colour.
Right.
I mean, back in the 60s, I don't think they had colour schemes then. It was like very plain colours.
Yeah, because I suppose because these were obviously built in Germany,
right,
way back in the early 60s there, I suppose there wasn't much in the way of, as you say, colour schemes and flamboyance.
That's right. I don't think bright colours were allowed or something along those lines. They hadn't got to the pigments yet or something like that, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But it's a lot better now than it really was in the original.
Now let's take a look at the interior. Obviously a lot of work has gone into this. It's got the there we go. There's the first door. The second door opens up as well, doesn't it?
You got your cooker hanging on the door.
Yeah.
It's the original style split screen cooker. It's a fold away. Just drop your grill on, and the gas bottle just sits at the side, and it's a connector there in the bottom.
So the gas actually gets connected in.
That's right.
Gas bottle sits on the side.
Yeah.
Gets fed in, and then you actually light up from there.
You can use it stationary in the vehicle or standing outside on a nice day like this, really.
Yeah. As far as dining is concerned, we've got some tables there as well, I notice.
The little fold-away table to give you some extra cooking space, heating space. You've got the 3 chair setup, the little table.
Yeah.
You've got storage units, I mean, for clothes, food, whatever. It's purely your own choice, really.
Yeah. The interior design, I noticed there's a lot of carpeting on the inside, and obviously this very attractive navy blue and gold design on the settees and the chairs. Were these the original parts when it was first built?
It's based on a Devon interior. It's Devon style, but the whole thing was I rebuilt myself. The cover and that is done by my wife. But it's gone along the lines of being sturdy but usable. And also it works as like a double glazing effect for heat in the colder days in the good old British weather.
What's the relevance of the name Devon then when you say Devon design?
The Devon is an interior that the VW campers used along with various others like Danbury and Westphalia along those lines.
Now, how many would this actually sleep in its heyday?
This is actually a 4-berth. It's more of a family van than for 4 adults. You've got your double bed at the bottom here, which is again the rock and roll style like the other van, and 2 bunk beds in the roof. Can we take a look
at the roof, Malcolm? As
certainly,
because we say that it can actually be raised up there.
It's as basic as the elevating roofs get, which is going along the lines of the style of the van.
I see you've got some straps there to hold it in place as well.
Yep, stop it blowing away. And then just...
so it raises up quite a height, really.
Basically, you get your standing room, which a lot of people do prefer if they're any taller than me.
Yeah.
Which most people are.
So we've got some struts there to hold the roof itself up.
Just lock out there.
And then presumably the bunks themselves, when the struts are secured in place, what happens then?
Right on the bunks. You undo the tie strap. You just roll out. Drop it.
So one bunk slides across and gets secured into place.
The other one fits in exactly the same.
And then the other one comes across as well. Now, I think I'm right in saying as well, Malcolm, that this particular van has been involved in some wedding work, hasn't it?
That's right, yeah, I do 1 or 2 wedding hires with it. Either chauffeur driven or they take it away themselves and use it. But every time it's been done, it's gone down really well. They've loaded it to bits. And
it's been in use quite recently with you?
That's right, I just done one at Castleford, down to a little place called Wortley Hall. Yeah. And they didn't want me to leave.
Just moving down to the front part for a second. That dash there with the 100% slow logo on the front, that isn't the original dash, is it?
No, the original dash would have slats in it for a speaker and a stereo, but over the years it's been butchered to fit a modern stereo in, and it looks a real mess. So we came up with the idea of putting a centrepiece in with the company logo.
Yeah. And what sort of top speed would this kind of van get up to? Would you think?
You would average 65 to 70 mile an hour. You won't get much more than that out of them.
It's a pretty speedy little thing then.
That's right, but it'll take a while to get up there. I mean, normally you'd be podding around at 55.
Let's take a look at the front now. I noticed a little earlier as well that obviously the VW, the logo, it's quite a lot larger than the other type. Any relevance to that?
It's the original VW badge on it. The split screens had the large badge on. The next ones down had the 10-inch, and then on the later ones they've got the smaller badge. It's how they were really.
Now, when people contact you via the internet, or maybe they would have seen your advert in some of the magazines, what sort of things can they expect when they hire this kind of vehicle out from you?
A very good service, really. But with the package, you get insurance, fully comp insurance included. There's green flag breakdown cover to cover the possibility of breaking down, and we'll store the car for the duration as well.
And one last feature, just moving back inside for a sec, it's air conditioned as well, isn't it?
That's a style of air conditioning, yeah. It's a fresh air blower, which on the hot days it's very nice.
The vents themselves are just under the split screen, aren't they?
That's right. Just drawing air through. There's like an air conditioning unit, you could call it, in there. Very basic, very 60s. that you can control the air into the back or down onto the driver or the passenger.
But in those days, it would have kept you cool.
That's right, yeah. It does work when you get the nice hot days, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Very effective.
Let's take a look now at some other classic campers that we filmed earlier on this summer.
Hi, my name's Dave Palmer. My wife Jenny and I run the Pastimes Club, which is a club formed basically for classic cars, classic vans, and of course classic caravans, as you'll see. And we'll go around and show you just a few. We've got, over here, we've got my wife and myself 1954 Airstream Wanderer. It was actually built in 1953. It left the factory on the 3rd of August 1953 for the 54 market. It's 5-berth. It's aluminium, all aluminium, double skinned with a fiberglass lining. It's very easy to tow, and you can see the tow car in front is a 55 Cadillac, so it's a nice pair. That's my wife's car. Inside we have a heater, we've got a flush toilet, got a full cooker, oven, 3 rings, etc. It's the toilet is a porcelain toilet, which is quite heavy. They didn't skimp on weight in these models. In fact, the waste pipe from the sink to the back end to the waste tank is 2-inch cast iron pipe. No skimping at all on weight. Now, if we move on, you can see the 55 Cadillac as quite a nice example. It's the top of the range 4-door. It's called a Fleetwood Series 60S. It's been painted. It's in its original colours. The inside's been retrimmed in its absolutely original 1955 fabric. And this car has been to Holland several times, Germany. We've taken the Airstream to both countries. We do like to travel with them and use them. Now we move on now to an Airstream motorhome. These are regarded as a true classic now because Airstream don't make this shape anymore. They make the modern slab-sided motorhomes, which they've gone the way that everybody's gone. But these are real classics. They'll sleep 5. This one's powered by an Isuzu diesel, but most of them are powered by 454 Chevy V8. And these are absolutely excellent to drive. I've got one myself and I wouldn't part with it for the world. It really is nice to drive. It's got power steering. Although it's 28 foot long, it's as easy to drive as a car. The vision is good. And of course you've got the classic shape. It really is nice. Here we have another 1981 Airstream motorhome. This one is also powered by a diesel, and they use the diesel in this country, slightly cheaper to run. The next one is an Airstream land yacht. This one is 1968. It's an Airstream Caravelle. It's rather a nice shiny example, puts mine to shame. And it's pulled by a 1957 Lincoln. A very nice combination. The next Airstream we've got, when we go along a bit further, is, we're not too sure of the year of this one. We think it's 58, but Airstreams are quite difficult to date. And this one's nice and shiny. This has just been recently purchased by a young lady called Sarah, and she also owns the Airstream in front as well, so she's got 2. She's a very keen Airstreamer. But these are absolutely wonderful. They tow far better than any English caravan I've ever towed. In fact, going back to our 55-54 combination, the just putting the Airstream on the back instead of a modern English caravan, we improved the fuel consumption by 3 miles to the gallon, which is quite important. The white convertible is also mine. That's 1965 Lincoln Continental. It's a one-button operation soft top. You don't even have to unclip it from the screen. And it used to be owned by Bernard Braden, which some of the older people will probably remember him. And this car featured on the credits of the programs that he used to have. Right, here we have a new member of the club. It's quite an unusual little caravan. I've never ever seen another one. I believe it's a Levante. It's Italian, and it was built in 1965. Very pretty little caravan. Very pretty. Here we see one of our club members. It's a slightly more modern. It's an Ariba Touring. But I'm led to believe they haven't really changed the shape much from the 50s. So it's quite an interesting shape van, and they're very well appointed inside. This one's towed by a 1955 Ford Crown Victoria, and this is a particularly fine example. Very, very nice car. I'm jealous. Right, here we have another rather unusual caravan, or as the Americans call them, travel trailers. This is an Argosy. It was made by the Airstream company, and they tried to make a cheaper version by using steel on some of the panels, like the top front panel and the top rear panel, and they used them as one pressing instead of the many panels riveted together on the Airstreams proper. But they had to paint them, and this made them less popular. This we believe to be the only Argosy in this country, so it's quite unique, and it's nice to see it out. Now this is one of the portafold folding caravans. There's a mixture. There's portafolds and ansfolds. The main difference is the portafold is the one with the fins on the roof, and the ansfold has got a smooth roof. They were built, we believe, between about mid-1950s to the late 70s. They're pulled by all sorts of classic cars, and they look good behind Yanks, they look good behind English cars, and they have stayed the course throughout the years, and they're still very, very popular. As you can see here, we've got a vast lineup. In fact, we've got a second lineup behind, because we've got 24 vehicles actually on the stand, 24 portafolds and ansfolds, which is the biggest number we've managed to get together so far, and we're very pleased. But everybody tows them with something different, and the vehicles are all different. We're always spotting different bits and pieces, different jacks, different suspensions, different length drawbars. Everything is different. And later we'll show you one in operation, because this does fold down into quite a small trailer. Right, Phil's just arrived with his portafold. It's normally a single-handed operation. It says in the brochure 57 seconds to get it up and erected properly. But when it's a bit windy like it is today, it's much safer with two, because when you've only got the roof and the two end walls up, it is a bit floppy and you can damage the fiberglass or hinges. So you've got your legs down, Phil, away you go. Right, we lift up one end of the roof first, which fits into some clips at the other end. Then you lift the wall, clip on the top, which hopefully he's got it clipped on. Then he moves around to the other end, lifts the roof again, and this is where the helper is supposed to be holding this end wall. And then, you see, because it gets quite floppy, and this one being one of the oldest ones in the club, they were using much thicker fiberglass, so it's quite heavy to lift up that end. The 57 seconds is ticking away well, and Phil's not getting there yet. You got it, Jen. Right, we're getting there now. Bit further. That's it. That's this side. The other side wants to go on a bit further. That's it. Now it's clipped on. It's 4 clips on the roof. It's easy now because there you have the milk float. Now you have the ice cream van. It's just slipping in the strap like this on the other side. That holds the roof down when you're travelling. And when this comes up, it holds the roof down for when it's static. And then there are 3 clips inside. These side walls are very easy. That's probably the easiest part of the operation. You slip the strap in loosely so that it's held there. And then you go on to the inside and fit the clips in. You have to open the bottom one as well. Right, there we go. Phil can climb in and do the necessary bits. At the moment he's putting the sink out of the way. The sink is quite a rare commodity in one of these because they were so heavy and cumbersome, people used to chuck them away. There's 3 clips on the inside each side, just to secure the roof and the walls in a secure position. Then once he's got the clips in, it's very rigid. They're extremely waterproof. We've had them out in some quite severe weather. We actually went out one night in a real cold night. It was a bit cold inside, but it's still snug and cosy, if you follow what I mean. Right, so there's the sink up, and if you get the cushions down, Phil, on this one you have to be careful because it's the old one. You have to be very careful if you pull the side cushions out because the clips that hold them are quite fragile. That's it, we're getting there. They normally came equipped with 3 long cushions and 6 square cushions, and you could have an option of an extra long cushion and 3 extra small cushions, which gave you more luxury. And there was also 2 options of thicknesses on the cushions. The company, this one is actually a portafold. It was made by Plastics Fairham Limited. We're finding great difficulty in finding out too much about the company, but we're still struggling on. We believe, as we say, they were made in the early 50s, round to the late 70s. They do say in the brochure that this vehicle will sleep 5 people. That's 1 each side, 1 across the end, 1 on the floor, and 1 on the sink. I think you'd have to be very friendly to sleep that many people. They came very basic in the original form. You had a sink, a little 3-legged table, which is missing on this one. You had the cushions and a carpet, a wheel brace, which with somebody's great thought was a double-ended one because the jack sizes and the wheel nut sizes are different, so they had to have a double-ended wheel brace. But you've got no cooker or anything like that, and there you have it, a portafold erected. Thank you, Phil.
You're welcome. Well, memories of the 60s now. This time it's a Thames 1500 weight van. Jason Mauler from Stroud is with me. Jason, this model here, it's got quite a family history, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. Yeah, my mum's neighbours owned it when she was about, quite a few years ago, and she used to go on holiday with them in it. And then they bought another one, and we bought this one off of them instead of them selling on to somebody we didn't know. So she bought this one off of them. And we used it for holidays when we was kids and stuff.
So it's done the rounds then?
Yeah, oh yeah. We've been miles in it all over Wales, Cornwall, Devon, stuff like that. And it's even been to France. It's been all over Europe.
So it's quite a well-travelled little model.
Yeah, he's done ever so well. Yeah.
Now it's not in restoration as such. It's still looking remarkably good. Although we've got a few little rust spots here and so on. Little blemishes coming through, yeah. This model was actually out of action as well, wasn't it, for I think about 6 years?
Yeah, 6 years. Well, we had it, and then we bought another car and we used the car for holidays. And this one was always stored in a barn, so it never got wet, you know, no wind or frost on it. So we put it under some trees outside in the yard, and then we just left it. We scrapped it more or less, and there it stayed for 6 years, 7 years. And then it wasn't until someone wanted to buy it off us, we thought it must have some great value to it. So we put it back in the barn, and we cleaned it all up, and it's virtually stayed like this in its present state. And we just do enough. Really, it goes through the MOT every year.
Yeah.
And you know, we take it around the steam rallies, and for weekend breaks and stuff. Yeah.
And what year of manufacture are we talking about here, Jason?
He's about 1963, stroke 64, and he's in between those two. Yeah.
On the front here as well, we've also got some original information, I think, haven't we, about the van itself?
Yeah, well, we found that by accident, because when we had a hole in the floor, where we was in there one day and we saw this hole, so we lifted the Lilo up, the original Lilo, and this was actually stuck on the back of the Lilo. And then we took this out and we cleaned it all up and photocopied it, and we kept the originals at home, and then we put these into a frame, and it's a Canterbury conversion. And it tells you what the Thames was and how it was bought from a van and turned into a caravanette by the Canterbury firm.
Yeah. When this was manufactured new in 63/64, what value would you have said this would have been?
I think they went for about, it was just over £1,000 to buy them new.
So quite a lot of money in those days.
It was, yeah, and then you add the cost of the conversion on top, which is on the list here, like £305 and 10 shillings, and it was for a 12 CWT weight.
Yeah.
And this total price come to about 824, and then there's £900 for, which is like the total price for some other extras you would have had on top.
And Corgi Toys, who unfortunately are no longer in existence as a manufacturer, they manufactured a smaller version of this as well, didn't they?
Yeah, they made a small model of the van and also the caravanette, and we bought one of these on the store. So we're going to put them in the front there just to say that they you know how popular the model was, and they made a copy of it.
So many happy memories of caravanning gone by.
Yeah, loads of memories. Yeah, the rain coming in and being stuck with the wind, because you've got a convertible roof that pushes up in it. And then sometimes if the wind's too strong, you can't put it up, because obviously being like canvas, it would rip in the wind. So we used to keep the roof down. We all used to sleep in the front seats and stuff. But as soon as the wind died down and the weather got better, we used to put the top back up, and then we used to put the bunks out and stay in there then.
But today we're quite lucky.
Yeah, very lucky today. Yeah, with this nice sunshine and
That's right.
gentle breeze, we're all right, yeah.
Well, Jason, thank you very much for telling us more about
That's
this Ford Thames 1500 weight caravanette from 1964.
Okay, thank you very much.
Hello, we're Gordon and Kathy Powell. We've always liked the classic cars and caravans. This is our J4 campervan, which we got last year as a wreck, a restoration that had gone wrong. We've done a lot of work at it, and we also pulled a period caravan, a 1962 Sprite. If you want to have a look at the van, the restoration that went wrong, chap that had it before us, left it after 5 years of cutting it back to bare metal. So it was just absolutely rusty, rotten. All the bottoms of the doors were gone, front valance, rear doors, and the inside was, well, it was atrocious really. But we soldiered on, and this is the result. We're happy with it. We do a lot of rallies and holidays. This is our first one at Rawton with this vehicle, although we were here last year with a split screen Morris Minor that we own. And we're thoroughly enjoying it, enjoying the sunshine, and it's nice to see that quite a few people are taking interest in the van and the little caravan. The Sprite caravan, well, we found that at Bromyard in Herefordshire on the way up to Tatton Park show. and it was lay idle in a field, and we approached the chap and purchased it from him for the grand sum of £30. He was about to scrap it, but we've saved it, and well, we're happy with it. It's a nice lightweight van, tows behind the J4 very well, and although it's only 9 foot long, it's a 4-berth caravan. It's nice to have the luxury vans of today, the big 22 footers, but we find this suits our needs, suits our means, and we enjoy it very, very much. Kath's done a lot of work on the interior, and I've done, well, basically just painted the exterior and put a new window in. I don't think there's a lot much else I can say about it, really. I don't know whether my wife wants to have a few words.
No,
I don't think so. I think she's a little bit shy, like myself, really. First time for this to happen to us. But yes, we're enjoying it very, very much.
Hello, I'm Alan Horn. I'm Secretary of the Dormobile Owners Club. Now, most people think that Dormobiles are the Bedford Dormobile, but Dormobiles were built on many other chassis, including Land Rovers, Commas, but the one most people think of is the Bedford, and we have a fair selection of Bedford Dormobiles here. Relaxing in a Bedford Dormobile Romany. We're famous for the elevating roof and the grey furniture and the Dormatic seats. These seats fold down into 3 different positions to give you 2 single beds or a double bed and eating arrangements. That was the vehicle of the 60s and maybe the early 70s until it was overtaken by Spanish cheap holidays. There's another example, all fitted out. 4 forward-facing seats and a nice little stall for sitting and getting to the kitchen. Then we move up market. These were retailing at about £800 each, and at £1,400 was the Debonair, built on the Bedford CA with an extended chassis and a coach-built glass fibre body. Plastic from the bonnet all the way back. It has a double bedroom in the front, complete with a kitchen, a full cooker and a fridge, and in the back it's got a double dinette. Rot-free, easily repaired, and we hope we don't need to. It even has a toilet compartment in the centre that opens up, has the usual porta potty and all those usual fittings. In the corner there is a small cocktail cabinet. So at £1,400 you were talking a luxury vehicle. It's got 19 cupboards, and this just happens to be mine. We then moved on to the Bedford Land Cruiser, which was built on the CF rather than the CA. It's all glass fibre from the cab back, sleeps 4, has a unique arrangement of a settee at the back that opens up into a double bunk bed. In their day, Dormobiles were producing 4,000 vehicles a year, which is more than the total market for motor caravans these days. That's the basic selection of vehicles we have with us today. They all differ. Some have glass fibre mouldings, some were just the plain vans, but they are quite a unique vehicle. Unfortunately, Dormobiles lost their way in the 80s. They gave up all this glass fibre technology and went for large aluminium vehicles, which the hire trade needed. And then they went off motor caravans completely, and the company finally closed in 1993, went bankrupt. The company has started again now, a small unit in Southampton, specialising on converting Land Rovers into from cross-country vehicles to motor caravans, and they are doing quite well at the moment. Right, the reason I bought a Dormobile rather than any other vehicle, choice really. We've got 2 young children. With this debonair, you could have 2 double seats in the front, so you could travel with the children. When you went to bed, you could put the children in the back and seal them off completely and still sit in the front and enjoy yourself. In 1992, we started the Dormobile Owners Club because 2 Dormobile owners got together, and the club's now expanded to about 200 Dormobiles, and we're just zany. They're stylish vehicles, and why would we want anything newer? We can get the spare parts, and it's fun. It's like being in a village, but moving the village round every weekend. And you can choose your neighbours. You don't have to be next to them this week. You can be next to somebody else. So it's just good fun, and we love it. This is a Romani Super Deluxe. You can tell it's a Super Deluxe because it's got the posh tail lights, stolen off a comma, and it's got the louver windows, help with the ventilation, and it's got glass fibre side panels to cover up a major problem with the Bedford CA, and that was rust above the rear wheel arches. You'll see from this example that it's not entirely successful, and that the rust still comes through. So this is an example needing some renovation. In the 60s and early 70s, when the CAs were still on the road, so many of them had aluminium riveted over that part that people thought it was the standard fitment of the van. But that is where they rusted. The original van had spats that came right the way down, and Bedford's issued a leaflet showing that they put this new wheel arch in. Not awfully successful as the years have gone on. They also tend to rust above here. This is the whole of one side panel. It's one complete panel right the way up to there without any weld whatsoever. So it's quite an advanced vehicle in its day. Things to look for when you're buying one is the rusting under the door, which can be fixed, and along there, that can be sorted. The rear spring hangers, it's got a beautiful solid box section chassis, but it does open up above the rear spring hangers, and that's about a £40 welding job. Apart from that, there's no problem. You can get the spare parts. It's the Vauxhall Victor 1600cc engine. It does about 25-30 miles to the gallon. It's got a 3-speed or 4-speed column gear change, and they're just beautiful vehicles to drive. And in this day of ultra safety, it's nice to be able to drive with the door wide open and get the breeze. Don't worry about side safety bars or anything like that. Just have the door open, and if anything looks as though it's going to hit you, you just jump out.
Well, VW Campervan TXF 654L is a very unusual addition to Malcolm's fleet. Malcolm, there must be quite an interesting history behind this one, mustn't there?
Yeah, I managed to trace it back to Saudi Arabia. It's originally came from there at some time or other, but landed in Southwell, 4 miles down the road, so the bit in between I don't know.
And when was the year of manufacture for this one?
It's actually 1972.
And the metalwork in the body, is it aluminium or is it steel?
It's a steel body, yeah.
And that was quite a regular metal, I suppose, for this kind of vehicle.
That's right. Again, this one's undergone a restoration at some point when I first got it, but not as major as the split screen.
Now, the work involved on this one, was there a vast amount of work in conversion?
No, it's pretty much standard as you see it now. It's when I bought it, had the full interior, just needed a bit of bodywork doing, really.
Tell us about the air-cooled versus the water-cooled side of things. When did air-cool finish and water-cooled start?
It's around about 82. They started to go into the air-cooled flat 4, from the air-cooled flat 4 to the water-cooled flat 4, and then a year or two later they moved into the front.
Was there any particular reason that VW moved from air-cooled to water-cooled?
I think that the water-cooled are a lot more usable in different climates, really. These are more suited to our climate than hotter climates, really. So.
Now, the windows on this model, they're quite unusual as well in their own right, aren't they?
That's right, it's a van conversion. It originally started life out as probably a delivery van or something along those lines, and it was converted again, a Devon conversion.
And earlier on we talked about the availability of spares. Is it exactly the same on this one? Spares easy to get?
Yeah, very easy. It's being a left-hand drive, it's probably a bit easier because up until this year they were still making them over in Mexico.
Let's take a look now at the inside. If we can just move around to the side of the vehicle, Malcolm. Perhaps you can tell us a bit about the interior and some of the facilities on board.
Well, this one's slightly different from the other two we looked at. It doesn't come with a rock and roll bed. This is a very basic. The bed itself is made up by the table, which just drops in the hole there, and the bottom section is the bed.
Yeah.
It's a 4-berth with the pop top, 2 bunk beds in the roof. Again, it's more sort of family orientated.
Obviously, when you do hire out these, catering and keeping yourselves watered and fed is quite important. Tell us about the catering on board.
Right, well, you've got your standard cooker.
Yeah.
With your gas bottle stored in the bottom of the unit there. All your pots and pans and your cutlery in the units down there with your sink. Again, all the basics you need for camping out.
Where does water come from? I mean, presumably you get a tank, do you? And
That's
it
right.
gets connected.
The tank itself is actually across the back there on that little shelf there. It's under there.
Yeah.
It fills up from under that seat, and there's a foot pump there to give you the water supply.
Oh, I
and
see.
it is a fresh water supply, drinkable.
Yeah. What about refrigeration? Is there any refrigeration on board?
Supply a cool box. Ice blocks are available if needed, but mainly people survive with a cool box.
Yeah. I noticed there as well, when you opened that cupboard, there were things like knives and forks and pots and pans.
That's right. You've got, like I say, all the basics you need. It's set up for 4 people. You've got 4 of everything in there. There's your spatula for your frying pan, your bacon butties, and that's about all you need, really.
And your fried eggs and
That's it.
that kind of thing.
Yep.
And presumably these things are available when hired out.
That's right, yeah. This is how they come equipped, basically.
Yeah. And how many people would this one sleep again?
It's a 4-berth.
It's a 4-berth.
Yeah.
The roof again is obviously detachable.
Yeah.
Can we take a look at that?
Certainly.
Is it easier than the other model, Malcolm?
It's a lot easier than the model. It's a self-assisting roof, really. It's spring-loaded. It's held on by the 4 clips, stopped it blown away. Simple as that.
Oh, that's pretty straightforward, isn't it? And obviously plenty of room to stand up in it as well.
That's right, yeah.
And the bunks, they come out from where? The side there?
And the sleeves here. There's your bunk beds. Just pull it out. Lock in there.
And they obviously clip onto the sides there.
Like so.
Yeah. That check material there, was that the original cloth?
That is the original cloth, yeah. That's
When-
from the 70s.
When manufactured by VW.
True 70s style.
Yes. And what have we got just behind you there? I noticed there's something with some hinges.
Like magazines and things like that. I don't really get a lot in there, but just a little bit of extra storage space.
So again, for personal effects and what have you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about the audio equipment on this? We talked earlier about CDs.
Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah, again, it's CD player and cigarette lighter for your mobile phones. As modern as you can go, really.
Uh-huh. Okay. Well, fourth and finally, vehicle registration PBR135J. That's a letter that you don't see very often. Malcolm, there's a little bit of work needed on this one, isn't there?
Yes, my next restoration project for hiring out.
Now, you say about restoration, we've talked about restoration during our chat today. A lot of work needed on it. From start to finish, how long would you say is actually needed?
When I actually start on this one, you're probably looking at a month from start to finish to get it on the road looking as good as the rest of them.
And what kind of things would this vehicle need, for example? I noticed that some of the lenses, would that be something that would need to be done?
You get new indicator lenses on it. It'll be a new front panel. A couple of windows have got a bit changed. I don't rate the louvered windows, they're a bit too drafty. Possibly a couple of new doors. Just little bits all around. I mean, it's quite generally a solid vehicle. It's still MOT, taxed on the road. But just general bits all over.
What was the year of manufacture, Malcolm?
This is a 1969.
Oh, so it's quite getting on a little bit then.
It's sort of a cross between the split screen and the later bay windows. It's got similarities to the split screen, but with the bay window style.
And what plans have you got for the interior?
The interior is going to be a 3-berth. It's going to be, again, a rock and roll bed with the standard little kitchen unit, sink, cooker, possibly even a fridge in this one, and a bunk bed across the front seats to make it the 3-berth.
And will the colour scheme change?
It certainly will. I'm looking along the lines of probably blue again, but my wife's talking of red, so we'll wait and see on that one.
Yeah, I think red and white would look quite attractive on the highways and the byways of Great Britain.
Yeah.
How far has the fleet that you've got? You've obviously got 4 vehicles under your ownership. What's the furthest that any of the vehicles have been?
Well, they go as far as field as Germany, Italy, France, Spain. They've done a lot of mileage, especially the left-hand drive. Did Europe quite a lot now, but I don't hire for European hire anymore because it's just too much expense, really.
And I think you were telling me earlier on as well that via the internet and contacts overseas, people from different parts of the world have come over and have actually hired the vehicles and gone in this country as well, haven't they?
That's right, yeah. I've had families from Germany, I've had a guy from Australia, New Zealand, all over. It is worldwide, without a doubt.
One final question, Malcolm, before we close today. Can I ask you, what is the attraction of the VW camper for you?
I think the biggest attraction really has got to be nostalgia. I don't do modern. I like the old cars. I like the way of the old cars and the way they look. It's nostalgia.
And do you see that that's the same for your customers as well when they hire the vehicles?
Definitely. I mean, a lot of people, it's a trip down memory lane. When they were kids, the parents used to have one, and they loved it, and they got good memories from it. So it does work a lot that way, yeah, without a doubt.
Well, Malcolm Hazard, thank you very much indeed for this fascinating insight into the world of VW campers. It's been very interesting, very informative, and we wish you well for the future.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, what an absolutely amazing array of classic motorhomes and trailers. From me, Nigel James, here at Farnsfield in Nottinghamshire. Until the next time, it's goodbye.